If you want to understand and track your child's language progress over time, you'll need a very quick breakdown of language skills. In the last video, we saw that understanding language and speaking a language are two separate skills, as seen in every toddler everywhere, but it can be broken down even further. Here we see the four basic language skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. It's important to note that even though these skills are interwoven, they develop at different speeds, and they develop at different speeds in different children. We saw this in the last video when talking about toddlers. The distinction between the language categories is also apparent when we realize that someone, especially a child, may speak a language fluently, but may still be illiterate, unable to read or write. So it's important that we track all four of these language skills when we want to know more about our child's language progress. To help us do that, we can categorize these skills into receptive skills and expressive skills. We'll see why that's important in the next video. But first, I want to address that each of these skills have foundational skills within them that must be learned. Here's a very oversimplified list. These skills here are the ones kindergartners spend most of their time learning. Things like building their listening vocabulary, learning language sounds, building their decoding skills, letter formation, basic writing conventions like periods and spaces between words, etc. Tracking language progress usually requires that students produce language so the teacher has something to assess. In a regular kindergarten setting, even if the child is still building these foundational language skills, they can usually speak the common language. However, in the immersion kindergarten environment, tracking language progress can be a bit more challenging because the student is still building the ability to speak and understand in the target language, even as they are learning the other skills like decoding and basic writing conventions. But there are systems that have been thoughtfully created to help teachers track the language learning progress, especially target language learning. One of those systems was created by ACTFL in conjunction with other language organizations. This system involves the World Readiness Standards for language learning. The standards are grouped into 5 main goal areas, otherwise known as the 5 C's: communication, cultures, connections, comparisons, and communities. The communication area is the most focused on the basic language skills we discussed earlier. The other 4 goal areas are more about how the learner applies their language skills to a specific content area. To keep this simple, our focus in the next video will just be on the communication goals in the World Language Standards.